Welcome to On the Point Podcast, a podcast for all things Overwatch with a heavy focus on League, discussing roster moves, weekly matchups, and the first home game. We're going to talk about the Dallas Homestand.
Yeah, that was
a thing.
It really was. I missed some of it because I was working, but
Same.
I went back and just rewatched all of it, and my God, it's like aside from the one obvious thing, which we'll talk about later when we get into the event itself, it was really everything that I think you could have realistically hoped for it to be.
I honestly cannot think of the last time that I wanted to be at a Texas event so badly that I knew I was not going to. And now I've got two this year. Where I knew I wasn't going to RTX and that made me sad. But, oh my God, I was not expecting to have that level of FOMO over not being in Dallas.
Oh no, this one was bad for me because, well, Dallas fan. But yeah, no, this was something else. I do want to talk about the event itself. Do we want to just get into that, or do we want to start with the matchups that happened there?
Well, I think we should start with the fact that I'm Katie, and I'm the support main.
I'm CJ, I'm the tank main.
And we have fun.
Yes.
Let's talk about the results a little bit, and then we will really go into depth on this event.
All right. So, first game of the Dallas Homestand, the first Overwatch League regular season game not played in the Blizzard Arena. Paris Eternal versus the London Spitfire. the battle over Europe was decided decisively in the favor of London Spitfire with a 4-0 that is in accordance with the prophecy, aka our predictions.
Yeah, Saturday seemed to be, for the most part, the day of the blowouts, and Sunday was, can we go to a map 5? Let's do our best.
Yeah.
You know, the day when everyone wants to be done early to watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Which we will not be talking Game of Thrones spoilers, so you're safe.
No, we won't.
Or Endgame or anything like that.
No. That's for off mic.
Yeah.
The next game is the Hangzhou Spark versus the Chengdu Hunters. I went with the Spark, you went with the Hunters, and the Spark pulled it out 3-1.
I should never go against my boys in pink. Why did I do that?
I had a feeling Chengdu seems to have a bit of that Philly thing going on where they play up or down to their opponents to a certain degree. At least, I need to rewatch some of their games to really pick up on the pattern, but there are some times where it seems like they go into a game and just rely on the fucking chaos that they create by just coming in, hard with weird comps at weird angles and just rely on individual skill beyond that, and other times where they seem to be laser precise, ready to, as soon as the fight breaks on, they're like, okay, Zarya now, and everyone's on Zarya, and then okay, Zen, and then
yeah,
there are some times where they play very messily, and there are some times where they play very cohesively and seem to really have their communication at 100%.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, these are two teams that are mostly populated with Chinese players, correct?
The Hangzhou is not mostly Chinese.
Okay.
Chengdu is mostly Chinese. I think there's only one or two non-Chinese players on Chengdu.
Now that I've thoroughly derailed you, I was going to say, it's rare that we get to see full-on Chinese Overwatch versus Chinese Overwatch, but I could be completely incorrect about that.
Okay, so I knew it was either all Chinese or one or two, but Chengdu is entirely Chinese, whereas Hangzhou...
Does Bacon Jack have a different flag there?
Yeah, you're right.
Just a weird graphic?
No, he's from Taiwan.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I knew he wasn't from China, I knew there was one that wasn't.
Yeah.
And I should know that because I watched him in fucking Pacific tournaments all the time. But
he's fun.
He is. And it's really crazy how well he's doing, considering he basically took a year off of playing Overwatch at a professional level, came back for this, and is just doing his thing.
Yeah, and the whole team is fun to watch, and we've said this more than once, just because chaos can be a lot of fun when you're seeing a lot of the same meta over and over. Mm-hmm. But he's just a really good DPS player. His sniper work is pretty great.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I can't wait. I don't know if we're doing the all-star snipe off, but if we are, I can't wait, because I want to see how Bacon Jack measures up.
For sure. And he was a real standout on his previous team, which I think was Yo Flash Wolves, or Yo Flash Wolves. Yes, Flash Wolves.
I don't question how you know these things. I just assume that it's 100% correct.
Because I've watched APAC.
A lot.
Yes. And no, APAC and Apex are not the same thing. Apex was the Korean. APAC was the Pacific. Anyway, yeah, Hangzhou has a couple Chinese players. The only ones you really see coming out with regularity are Gushui and Crystal. The majority of the team is made up of a Korean roster that used to belong to X6 Gaming, where we also get which is actually where Choi Hyobin came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, they were also the winners of Contenders Korea Season 1.
Huh.
Yes.
So we've got all sorts of good people in here.
Oh yeah.
But that's all of League.
This is true. Up next, the Seoul Dynasty took out the Houston Outlaws 4-0.
That hurt a lot.
Yeah.
We could not get it together.
No. It seems to be a continuation of the same problems that the Outlaws have been having this entire stage.
Yeah.
They don't... Which honestly is an extension of the problems they were having last stage and last season, just slowly cranking up the fucking dial towards the Spinal Tap 11.
And then here we just don't have it, and that's... Hopefully we'll see things turn around a little.
Yeah, it's difficult. I will say, like, in the Dallas game especially, the thing that makes this roster... Like, there are a lot of things that I could say about their communications and stuff, but I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with how much I've talked about it already.
A little bit.
Well, it's one of those things that's fascinating because it's just like, these are good players. Mm-hmm. A lot of them would probably fit very well in any number of rosters and perform to an Overwatch League level, but for whatever reason, their cohesion as a unit just does not seem to be, where it needs to be.
It's one of those things where we have a lot of great flavors, but then you put them all together and it doesn't taste good.
Yeah, I will say though, which is the one negative thing I wanted to sort of point out, and I'll pair it with a positive here because they did work in a little more DPS play.
Yeah.
They went with comps that enabled some of their more flexible members to do things that they're known for. You had Jake on the Junkrat. You had Linkser on Mei and on Sniper.
Yeah.
There were opportunities for them to do their thing, and frankly, they looked a lot better doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but when it comes to just using goats, whatever coordination they have just kind of goes out the window. And only making that worse is the fact that basically, depending on which players are in, what they're going to be playing.
Yeah. Because
if you have Spree and Dante in, then they're probably going to be doing a DPS comp. Probably, Sombra goes with Spree on the Zarya and Dante on the D.Va. Or they'll put Dante on the D.Va where, he's okay, but he's not a D.Va main. He's not a flex tank.
Yeah.
And then when you put in Cool Matt, they're going to be running goats the entire way. Whether it's Zen or Ana, that's just kind of what's going to be happening.
So I'm wondering if, again, this isn't a team that wouldn't benefit from a meta change. I know we can't sit here and pin our hopes on the meta's going to change because, again, I had my hopes pinned on that with Baptiste and that we had some variations on the theme, and watching the Valiant play Baptiste on Sunday gave me life.
Yeah.
But that's not enough. It didn't flip the table entirely. And I wonder if GOATS isn't just a mental block at this point.
Honestly, I think it's partly that, and partly just they look better on DPS compositions. I still wouldn't say that they look like a tier better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The problems don't begin and end with the meta, though it certainly doesn't help them.
Yeah.
It's definitely a metagame that doesn't really suit their strengths. Yeah, you know what we're going to say at this point regarding, or what I'm going to say at least.
They are still good boys, and I love them.
Yeah, no, I want them to succeed.
Yes.
Up next, LA Valiant versus Dallas Fuel, and Dallas delivers with the 4-0. I went with the boys in blue. You went with the boys in green.
They are still good boys, and I love them. But man, this hurt.
It did. It did.
This was not a good... Again, this was like the day of 4-0s, with the
Yeah.
exception of the Spark and the Hunters.
It was like season 1 all over again.
Oh my god.
When it was just 4 Overwatch every week.
Yeah, it was. But
yeah.
and this is also the first time that Valiant has played not a home team game against someone who has the home team advantage. Like, usually LA fans turn out pretty well at the arena, just in general. So being at the 4,500 Dallas fans,
a crowd that was not directly to LA or anything, but hostile to anyone who was playing Dallas at the time.
Oh yeah.
Valiant hit the stage. There was just this thunderous boo,
which is not good sportsmanship. Let's be real.
For sure. The thing is, though, I'm kind of okay with it for one reason. They cheered for them when they were playing against Seoul. They cheered very loudly for them against Seoul.
I'm just not okay with booing at the sport in general.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm saying that I'm okay with it. I'm not saying that I like it. Like, it's one of those things where I'm not going to immediately go, like, you're an asshole, how dare you? But it's one of those things of, like, you shouldn't.
Yeah, it's not immediately, oh, you're terrible. It's like, oh, come on, guys. Please, can we just... And I'd do that for any team getting booed on a walkout. Like... I know you're super excited to see your guys, but that doesn't mean... And we've talked about the state of fandom and people being jerks, and someone made this wonderful, wonderful, terrible MS Paint graphic, and it wasn't terrible because it was MS Paint, it's terrible because it was normal Blizzard Arena LA fans versus Dallas fans, and, making fun of paid fans wearing multiple jerseys, screeching like banshees, can hear them and they're annoying, versus Dallas fans are manly men and they boo for the opposite team, and they, like... Oh my god.
It's a crowd that has never gotten to see their team play in person ever.
I find absolutely nothing wrong with the enthusiasm. Just this graphic was like, Dallas fans are better than your standard Blizzard Arena fan.
No, they're just hungrier because they don't get to see it every fucking week.
No, I'm talking about this specific graphic.
Oh yeah, I'm saying
we're better than you and you're terrible. I'm like, you need to stop.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm saying I am agreeing. I'm just pointing out the reasons for which it is an inaccurate interpretation of reality.
Yeah.
So I will say, after that initial boo, there wasn't any more of that, though there was the immensely toxic, although I will admit, in the interest of full disclosure, that I did laugh very hard when at the 3-0 the crowd chanted easy clap.
Yikes.
It was one of those moments where, like, you guys are dicks, but I kind of love it.
Texas, man.
Yeah. Texas hard. Valiant had a lot of the same, much like Outlaws, I feel like Valiant had a lot of the same issues kind of coming forward in this and their series against Seoul. Though I think on Dallas it was amplified just because, let's be real, they looked a lot better against Seoul.
Yeah.
For a whole host of reasons, not the least of which is the game against Dallas was a mental boom. They were just... You could tell they were scared shitless.
I mean, not enough. I'd say not of Dallas, of the fans.
Yeah, not...
Just, that's a hostile arena.
Yeah.
And they've said more than once, like, even in the Blizzard arena, they can hear the fans through the headphones.
Oh, yeah, which is one of the reasons I kind of miss, like, at Apex, they had these big fucking soundproof glass booths and the headphones. And it just looked cooler. But to add that, there's no way you're going to get rid of all of that noise. There just isn't.
No. And Blizzard Arena is a repurposed TV studio with very high ceilings.
It was where they shot Johnny Carson.
Yeah. Great lighting.
Yeah.
Great lighting. Whoever set up the lighting for that is a genius. But yeah, you're never going to... If you're loud enough, you can outdo headphones. And Blizzard Arena is absolutely loud enough, which means that Texas... was thunderous. Like, listening to it, there are times you can't hear the casters for the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, well, this is a problem when I'm driving and listening to the match because I obviously can't watch it. So
Yeah. Again, I think the glass booths would go a long way. A little bit of production design that looks cool and maybe helps cut on that a little bit. But
maybe
yeah.
some of the dedicated arenas will build them in. We've already got one started at Philly.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah.
Hope Philly. Hey.
Yeah, I will say agility still does not seem to have gotten the hang of Brig.
Yeah,
It's
not really his wheelhouse.
It is really rough for him, and I see him like, and I don't want to like say how to put this. When I say like, I see a lot of the same problems in his approach that I see sometimes with like my teammates when I'm playing, and we're much lower SR, but I think the urge is still there when you're a DPS player to go in and secure kills, whereas Brig, you need to play a little bit more measured a lot of the time.
Yeah, she doesn't play like a DPS, and that's not the point of her. She is half tank, half support.
Yeah,
all paladin.
Yeah, there are a lot of times where you'll see agilities go in deep to try and secure a kill, then get isolated and deleted, and his team collapses around him. I think Izayaki also had a rough weekend.
Yeah.
I do feel like, and the pattern that we saw in this weekend, and I want to see if it continues going forward, is that Izayaki he had questionable trance timings, basically he wasn't coming up clutch, aside from a couple like key picks here and there, but when they swapped in Kariv, like, he looked awesome. Like, he looked like he was more on the same page with the team overall than Izayaki did.
Kariv has more experience with the
he's
team.
played with that roster significantly longer.
Yeah. I think that's part of it. I think also Kariv is just such a cool, laissez-faire personality. And I don't mean cool like awesome, but cool like it rolls off my back like a duck.
Yeah.
That he might have been less affected by the atmosphere in the arena itself.
Well, the thing is, he also played on stage at Apex in South Korea. Again, Apex, very loud crowds, huge event. And I don't know that Izayaki has the same experience. Like, I can't quite remember his larger team history, so we'll go on a little research jaunt here again.
And I don't want to stand here and be like, oh, well, the reason is stage fright, because how do we know? We're speculating. Mm-hmm. But we know that Kariv has that experience, and just from, I watch all of the stuff that the Valiant puts out on their YouTube channel because it's hilarious, but you see all the different stuff they do, the gamer snacks, the ping pong matches, the whatever, and he just doesn't really seem to let anything faze him. He just has fun.
Yeah, he's a chilled out dude.
He is. And I wonder if that didn't make some of the difference switching him in. And I don't know enough about Izayaki's personality because he's pretty much never in the stuff that the Valiant puts out to be able to make that judgment call.
Yeah.
I just don't know him very well.
So it looks like the real big experience, he has some stage experience. He played in Apex Challengers Season 5, but the thing is, Challengers is an online tournament. That doesn't give you stage experience.
No camera in your face, no screaming crowds.
Nexus Cup is a LAN, or no, Nexus Cup was online, okay. So his only real stage experience was in Contenders Korea Season 1, prior to getting in the Overwatch League, of course.
So that was a chunk of time ago.
Yeah. It was a good few months, and he was on a team that definitely, Foxes never really had a massive following in a lot of cases. And yeah, there wasn't really like pressure placed on them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so this might have been, I hesitate to say like the first big pressure thing, because the battle for LA this past stage was bonkers.
Yeah.
But when you have an arena that seats 500 people and is mostly full versus an arena that seats 4,500 and is sold out, that's a very large sound difference.
For sure.
And you're playing, your first match there is playing against the home team. And I want to say that any one of these teams that went up against them would have been wrong-footed in that crowd.
Oh, for sure. And I think that there is a certain amount of that played into the
absolutely.
Outlaws. But
I feel so bad for the Outlaws. I feel bad for the Outlaws fans. Because people are cruel to Outlaws fans to begin with for reasons that I cannot begin to fathom.
yeah, it's one of those things of just like, I will say that I personally, in just like online interactions, have encountered, I want to say, how to put this? There are teams whose fandoms have a larger percentage of assholes.
Patriot fans.
Well, I was just talking Overwatch League, but
I know, but that's the sports shorthand for not every fan of this team is terrible, but the vocal ones are.
Yeah. Whereas I've had a lot of experiences with Outlaws fans online that are kind of obnoxious, but that's like the least. That's not a valid reason to be shitting on the entire team. It's just...
It's a following with a lot of women.
I think that's a part of it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and a lot of visible women. And people go after them like, oh, they get there at 6 a.m. to camp out for seats in the front row. And I'm like, so do the rest of us when our teams play.
Yeah,
like
I do that.
This is not an unknown experience. I got there at 8 a.m. for the Battle of L.A., and there were probably 15, 20 people in line in front of me. Like... Seats in the Blizzard Arena are not saved when you purchase a ticket.
Yeah,
it is
a
free-for-all. So if you want to be in the front row or on the floor, you show up early. So it's like, oh, Outlaw fans, they show up early. Oh, they're loud. Oh, they're visible. And I'm like, but everyone else does too. I don't understand. It's because we're women and the Outlaws aren't a top-tier team, isn't it? Check your misogyny at the door.
Yeah, it's part of it. And I also think Outlaws... There are certain people in the Outlaws organization that are kind of divisive to begin with.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Flame. You either love him or you hate him.
Yeah.
Jake. A lot of people like him, but a lot of people are also find him kind of obnoxious. Like, I'm not coming down on one side of the fence or not. I'm just trying to, like, put all the variables on the table.
No, I know. And I could not throw in behind Atlanta because they hired DeFran and XQC was XQC. That's I'm not going to fault someone for like, I don't like a player on this team, therefore I'm not going to follow this team. Like, absolutely, you do you. But when you harass fans of a team to the point where you get kicked out of the arena for being disruptive, you might want to look at your behavior.
True, though.
And it's
I will
Outlaw
say,
fans that seem to get it disproportionately.
Yeah, people do have an odd hate on for the Outlaws.
It makes absolutely no sense to me, and I wish people would just stop. Just chill.
Yeah.
We're allowed to like teams. We're allowed to like multiple teams. This is why I worry about the state of fandom in Overwatch League.
Oh, this is not a fucking Overwatch League unique problem.
Oh, no, it's not.
Fandom, like, the further the internet has developed, has become this fucking radioactive cesspool. Like,
there are theories as to why that happened, and I think that might be, depending on how much time we have at the end of the recording, a bit of a postscript, because,
maybe.
Having to do with the state of politics and the state of social media and what platforms we use for discussion. So there's a whole thing, but we're not even through our first segment yet, because I keep tearing us off on tangents.
Let's just leave that one for people to read up on their own.
Yeah.
Anyway. Hangzhou Spark versus Paris Eternal, the first game on Sunday. We both picked Spark, and the Spark delivered with a very close 3-2 win.
Yeah, I feel like Saturday and Sunday was night and day.
Yeah, for sure.
Games.
In terms of like just the balance of them.
Yeah. I think that was part of it. I think the energy was also a little different.
Yeah.
It just... Oh, hey, we played here yesterday. We know what to expect.
Yeah.
Slightly different mental game.
They weren't quite as like... Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I will say, though, it's kind of interesting that you'll see, at the very least, with day one, you'll see London Spitfire, championship-winning team, played at the Barclays Center, played at Apex Season 4, basically, they have big tournament wins. They have, experience on that level. Hangzhou Spark, bunch of players from the World Cup, bunch of players aside from have been in Apex and then Contenders Korea, which at the time was an offline event that was in a fairly big university building.
Yeah.
So they have experience in front of loud vocal crowds.
But
Seoul
Hongsho
Dynasty
also had the issues earlier in stage 1 with essentially stage fright. Was
Yeah.
the only thing we could figure that was happening, and they seem to have gotten over that real quick.
Yeah, well, I feel like in their case, it was the fact that they're coming up to a higher level of competition, where basically
Yeah.
it's like we're in the big time now. Oh shit. Anyway, Seoul, Lunatic High played every season of Apex and in Overwatch League. Dallas Fuel, Dallas Fuel again every season of Apex, MLG Vegas, whole bunch of other big tournaments before Overwatch League. They have all of the teams that did really well have had major impactful LAN experiences.
Yeah. And I think that helps.
Yeah, and we see the nerves for the rest of them kind of thaw a bit the next day.
Yeah.
I will say Eternal looked a little bit better too.
Yeah?
Yeah. They're a team that I see a lot of potential in, but they just can't quite get everything to jive.
Yeah. Them, and I want to say, and they didn't play this week, but Guangzhou.
Yeah.
Finally back on the up and up now that they're starting to incorporate different things. But yeah, took the world's longest game of Overwatch for them to break that streak.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Hangzhou and Paris, real close. Chengdu and London, not quite as much.
Not quite as close. We both picked London, but Chengdu picked up the 3-1 win.
Yeah.
And this is another one of those times where Chengdu, they seem to have I talked about the two different games of one, we cause a shit show and then just kind of ride the eye of the storm on mechanical skill. But in this case, they were laser focused on anyone who got out of position. They were deleting people.
Yeah.
And
It's like everyone stepped up their game on Sunday.
Yeah.
Literally everyone.
for sure. And we have great proof of that in the next match of the Seoul Dynasty versus the LA Valiant. We both picked Seoul, and Seoul did ultimately win, but it was a 3-2.
Yeah,
The
and it was a
Valiant-
close 3-2.
the
The,
Val-
final
yeah.
the final round of map 5.
The Valiant put up a hell of a fight, and a lot of those same... I think in that case, their coordination was on point. Like, you saw in the first map, like, between maps, they were making adjustments. Like, the first map or two, you would see times where Fate was kind of ahead of the team and got separated and killed. Like, they just weren't moving with him, and he wasn't trying to move with them. And then later on, you see that adaptation get made and, you know, gets fixed. But it just came down to Valiant making just a few more key mistakes in, you know, the wrong moments. Either committing too many ultimates or just losing someone at the start of a fight. Like, this is a match that could have gone either way.
That
Which-
overtime push from Seoul on King's Row was just like, ugh,
That was a backbreaker.
that was rough.
Yeah,
But they played so much better. This was season 1 Valiant comeback, late season
Yeah.
1.
I
And-
don't know that I necessarily agree because their play is still stylistically different, and I feel like they're making more mistakes than they did. But this is like a little flash of that. This is a hint of Valiant.
Yeah.
Tasteful Valiant mood lighting.
Alexa, turn the lights green.
Is that going to be
Yeah.
our title? Tasteful Valiant mood lighting.
It might be. Yeah, and I loved, again, I mentioned this, I loved seeing the Batiste play.
Yeah.
I think that was a good strategy for them. I think that was a good addition. Again, King's Row was painful when we hit the
Yeah.
overtime push. But aside from that, like a lot of their Batiste play on there worked out fairly well.
Yeah,
So
and-
I'd like to see them try to incorporate him more and see what they can do there.
Yeah, Baptiste definitely is a character that has his uses. Like I said when we were coming out, I feel like he's someone who's going to have his place, but not ultimately like revamp the meta entirely. And I feel like people have found that he's really good in situations where you're trying to hold a hard point.
Yeah.
You're trying to hold a hard point, especially in a place where you're going to be playing against dive. Because when the tanks hard commit on trying to kill someone, you just drop the immortality field, and your supports have that extra little bit of time for peel to get to them and help clear off the pressure on them.
Yeah.
It's still not going to, he's still not going to be as useful in, I want to say, like 80% of maps as Brigida is.
But we see King's Row with that particular point nestled in as it is with all the different walls and whatnot, and then several different chokes down the way. Like, there are really good ways to use him, and I think King's Row was a great map to break him out on.
Yeah.
Blizzard World would not have been.
No.
But King's Row, more enclosed.
Yeah,
definitely.
You definitely see him more on maps like Paris and Temple of Anubis.
Yeah. And I mean, Valiant doesn't really throw Blizzard World so much as we yeet it into the fucking stratosphere. Yeah. So I'm very grateful every time that King's Row or Eichenwald show up as the combination map, because Blizzard World is like, why are we making it worse?
Yeah. Anyway.
Every team has a map that's their Achilles heel, and oh boy, that's ours.
This is true.
What's Dallas's? Like, you'd know that off the top of your head. I just know that because it's kind of a meme in the Valiant fandom.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, Dallas has a lot of struggles in a lot of different places, and the problems seem to change with the roster, so it's hard to say that there's been one that's been a consistent Achilles heel.
Okay. Legit.
There are certain times there are certain maps that they struggled on last season. It's hard to pick out one that is, to them, what Blizzard World is to Valiant.
True. We're very special on Blizzard World.
Speaking
of Dallas.
And the last match of the day, the Texas Shootout. Dallas Fuel shoots down the Outlaws 3-1. We both picked Dallas. Dallas delivers. Though I will say, once again, I said last week that we were going to see Houston pick up their game a little bit. And I feel like we really did, especially on those first two maps.
Yeah.
Like, the first map was definitely Dallas favored, but Houston wasn't completely dead in the water. Then Temple of Anubis, they pulled out a lot of weird strats that, you don't see quite as much. But again, they play into the Outlaws' strengths, and Dallas couldn't quite figure out how to crack that B defense on Temple of Anubis.
I feel like the more Outlaws plays like Chengdu in terms of screw the meta, we do what we want, I feel like the better they do. Because that's where their strengths are.
I think it definitely helps them, which the thing is, you definitely need to learn how to play goats, and I think they still need to practice that a fucking lot. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you see teams like Dallas, like Shanghai. Well, Shanghai and Chengdu are perhaps the biggest examples, but teams develop a sort of identity to their play style.
Yeah.
Houston hasn't yet. They haven't really developed a thing of oh, well, this is how Houston fucking does it. They haven't built the synergy and style and developed how Houston Outlaws plays Overwatch to the point that they can really find something that they're awesome at.
We have a lot of single-player mimetic stuff.
Yes.
We've got Linkster on the Widow, which, everyone knows, oh, he coming, oh lord, he coming.
Yeah.
We have J-Krat. We have Muma doing whatever he wants, including playing Symmetra and Spawn. A lot of what we get from Outlaws is single mimetic and single-person personality.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of the appeal, is that they're just again, they're good boys.
Yeah.
But we don't have this is what the team does.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
you're right about that.
I think that's one of their big problems, is just they don't have, a lot of teams will have a way that they play, and everyone's on board with that game plan. Vancouver fucking plays like their characters just did a fucking line before they left spawn and just blitz at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
I feel like some of these teams, like you look at their hashtag and it's like, oh no, this is who they are.
Yeah.
Like, how hard do the Gladiators lean into Shields Up? They are a very, very solid team, known for some pretty damn good tank play.
Yeah.
First with Fissure and now with Roar. Vancouver is force of nature. And I mean, just like, sit back and watch them go. Damn.
Yeah. And I think the thing is that Houston has committed to trying to learn a metagame that they're ill-suited to, and for whatever reason, just do not seem to be comfortable on it, no matter how much work they do at it.
They haven't found the thing that will make it click.
Yes. And I think even then, you have other teams that are going to... Basically, the very best teams are going to be the ones that can pick up the metagame and still incorporate it into their style.
Yes.
Because you see that with Vancouver. Well, Vancouver and NYXL, like, Shock plays somewhere in between. But basically, all three have a style. And all three of them can play goats in that style and play other compositions in that style.
I would throw Gladiators in there as well, especially this stage.
True.
And I know this stage hasn't been as utterly bloodthirsty
Yeah.
in their schedule as last stage was.
Yeah, I'm just going with the three teams that have the most defined. I'm just going with them because they're the top three.
The scary people.
Yeah. Well, I think Gladiators might be honing in on New York's territory, but
I think Gladiators are currently ranked above New York because they are lossless this stage.
yeah, no, I think that they are. We'll see how things shake out at the end, but I'm just saying with the three teams going into this that were the consensus best. They all play very differently. They've all been able to they have a style and a general approach to the game that everyone knows, and they can play the metagame within that style. The thing that you need to have, like, metagame is something that you need to learn and you need to be good at to really hit the absolute highest levels. But the basic fundamental level, your team needs an approach. You need to know how you come at problems and how you address them as a team. You need structure, you need coordination, you need communication. And just those pieces for the Outlaws are just kind of lacking.
Yeah.
And they kind of always have been.
Yeah, a lot of these other teams are making personalized omelets and the Outlaws are still scrambling eggs.
Yeah, and it's upsetting almost because the thing is...
Do better, we love you!
Yeah, they have a lot of potential on an individual level. When they were playing in a metagame where that individual play could really elevate people, they did better. They weren't setting the world on fire or anything, but they were winning games more consistently.
Dive and then the deep chaos that we got once we introduced Brigitte.
Yeah.
And had that weird stage and a half where it's like, well, we're still trying to figure out what the new meta is, but God help you if you break out Dive and there's a Brigitte on the other line.
Yeah.
You're done.
Cut to Jane angrily shouting at Stylos' analysis of Dallas versus London in Stage 4. That was hysterical.
Yeah, I'm done with managers angrily shouting things. It's just embarrassing for everyone.
Well, that analysis video is actually hysterical because Stylos is like, so basically London's a very good dive team. They can just go to this composition and play it super well. If they don't know what to do, it's kind of their default thing. But the problem is there's a hero in the game called Brigitte. Jane pauses the video. So this professional team of professional players with professional coaching staff haven't got a single clue what to do on this map against this opponent. They have no idea. And then... But the problem is there's a hero in the game called Brigitte. There's a hero in the game! And she just shuts Dive right down. How? Why? Analyze!
God bless our headphones listeners at this point.
Well, that's why I was like stage whispering,
backing
shouting.
away. Yeah.
But yeah, that video never fails to make me laugh, especially just at the end. Jane's just like, I'm sick of when people just come out and they act like they're dropping some knowledge and it's just hurt to dirt to dirt. I'm in Plaid. Like, anyway, yeah, Houston doesn't seem to have that underlying synergy and vision for how the team plays. And until they do, I'm not sure that we're going to see them really stand out and start to make something of themselves in Overwatch League, especially in a meta with GOATs where team coordination is the name of the game.
I'm hoping that for them, it's probably going to be a 2-week break. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't think that we've seen who all is going to be in the All-Stars game, but it's looking like a lot of people from expansion teams and a lot of people from our top 3 teams.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's quite as much variety just in terms of who's on there, because it's like, hey, that sure is the entire Vancouver starting line.
Well, no,
There's nothing wrong with that, but it's also like, okay.
there were some people from different teams getting votes.
And the more teams you have, the less of a spread you'll have.
The more interesting this will be. But
Yeah.
I do want to say, though, Dallas, like, man, did that energy fuel them. Like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They, like, channeled that fucking shit like they were making the spirit bomb. Like...
Welcome to being a home team.
Oh, yeah, I know. And it, like, it really showed. OG, Unco, they were playing out of their fucking minds all weekend. And if you want to see how to play those positions, look at the shit they were doing. It was insane. And Zachary continues to improve on the Brig. AKM doing a great job on that Zarya. Like, he was just dunking on his opponents, like, most of the game. Like, Dallas just overall, like, if they can maintain this level, if this momentum is kind of where they can be, they have a potential to keep growing and trying to break in. At present, if they beat Mayhem next week, they're in the playoffs.
I love that that's presented as an if. Mayhem is doing better, but not Dallas levels
I
better.
am naming the scenario.
Yes.
Not my opinion on the scenario.
Understood. I am definitely coming in with the spice on this one because Mayhem has been having some trouble.
Yeah.
But that's for the prediction section.
Yes.
As it is here, Dallas had really elevated play, and Houston was not necessarily keeping pace with them, but doing better.
Yeah, they were definitely doing better. Like, they brought a little more fire into it, and I think if they can keep that up, like, it'll do better for them, but they still need to, like, plug those holes we were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, the end of the... I'll save this for talking about the event, but anyway, batting averages, I am sitting at 60 out of 77 predictions with a batting average of 0.779. You are sitting at 55 of 77 at 0.714.
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, you are still batting at over 500. That's better than most major leaguers by quite a lot.
Yeah, but most major leaguers actually have to hit a ball.
Yeah, true. And hitting a major league fastball is one of
much more difficult than picking who's going to win between the Vancouver Titans and the Washington Justice.
The hardest thing to do in sports, quite literally. But yeah,
We're doing okay.
We're doing okay. We're still over 70%.
All
It's a
right.
good place to be. Anyway.
Speaking of good places to be, we got a word from our sponsor.
Yeah.
As always. On the Point is sponsored by Fred's BS, Breads and Spreads by Fred. Fred's BS is an LA local one-man baked goods business that offers unique flavors in small batches. Whether you're looking for homemade jams, brownies, blondies, or brown sugar buddies, the best cookies you've ever had, Fred's BS can provide. I just lost my place. Thanks, Fred. We love you.
Fred can provide.
Fred can provide. All products are made in small batches with fresh ingredients. Nothing is ever frozen. And Fred provides a plethora of flavors that can't be found in stores, like the aforementioned brown sugar buddies or his strawberry peach paradise sunrise jam. Also, if you're LA local, you can choose pickup instead of delivery and get your goods even sooner. Head to fredsbs.com and use coupon code ONTHEPOINT for 20% off your entire order. That's fredsbs.com, fredsbs.com, and coupon code ONTHEPOINT. Fred's BS. Treat yourself, because you deserve it.
Oh, fuck, I can! I got paid today!
Yes! Get them cookies.
Yes. Shit. Okay.
I think that's the best post-live read reaction we've had in a while. And yeah, it's called a live read because we do it live every time.
It's like Big E doing the fucking New Day entrance. Like,
But,
5
yeah.
people get that.
No, seriously, those cookies are amazing. Definitely. For your next watch party, get a couple dozen, bring them in. Bring in your friends. Regardless of how many friends you have over for the watch party, you will have no cookies left because they are that good.
Anyway, Dallas Homestand. We talked a lot about the event in terms of what it means, but holy shit, if like the home games next season can keep even a fraction of this energy, like at a semi-consistent level, that's a really good place to be.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it should be fun. And I liked having a shorter weekend.
Yeah.
And I know I missed having the games on Thursday and Friday, but it was also just like, okay, it's this. We know these teams are playing, knowing that this is the bye week for every other team there. Like, it would extend the season, but part of me is like, I wonder about a year-round season, and part of me is like, no,
don't do that.
Don't do that. That's professional wrestling areas,
Well,
and that's real bad.
And the other thing is, like, basically, as excited as I am to see more stuff like this travel is going to be rough on players.
Yeah.
It's going to be brutal.
Especially when you have teams situated in one country flying halfway across the world to play teams situated in other countries. Like, assume that the Paris Eternal moved to France as a team and are situated there. They're traveling almost every weekend. And they're traveling to different countries almost every weekend, which, okay, Europe, it's not that far. Well, yeah, it wouldn't be too bad for them to go to London, but then they have to go to China, which is a quarter of the way across the world. And then they have to go to wherever in America, which is a quarter of the way across the world. The European teams are really going to get shafted by this.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult.
All 2 of them.
Yeah.
We need more European teams, you guys.
Maybe we'll get another, 4 or so next season to bring it up to 12 and 12.
Yeah,
but
let's do Spain.
Yeah, well, there was talk at some point about, like, a team in Germany of some kind that just never ended up coming through. But
A Finnish team.
honestly, yeah, that would make me genuinely really happy because just the Finnish players in Overwatch are awesome, and the Finnish esports scene keeps churning out a lot of really good talent.
That might gut Dallas's tank line if that happens, though. Well, not tank line. That might gut Dallas's starting line, because they've got a few people from Team Finland, don't they?
They have 1.
Why did I think they had 2? I don't know.
Team Finland
But it would also get Tvik back in.
Tvik Swedish.
Not Tvik. Why am I...
Team Finland was...
This is why I let you talk about this.
Team Finland was Fraggy, Zappis, Shaz, Big Goose, Linkser, Davin, and Taimu.
Okay. Yep, definitely break up some starting lines on some teams, but dang, that would be a terrifying team to face.
Honestly, do it. Just free Fraggy. God damn it. Let my boy bang. Just let him do his thing.
Ouch.
Seriously! Philly, for the love of God, he suits your playstyle way better than Sato does. I'm not saying Sato's bad, but Sato and the rest of Philadelphia, like, he's playing the piano, the rest of them are on guitar. It's just not the same fucking instrument.
Yeah, sometimes you can get a pretty good rock piano. And I say that as I kind of Will Smith at Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band over here. But
yeah, no, that's true. But, like, it's one of...
I know. I got you. I know.
They're not doing the same thing. But
anyway, let's Dallas. I'm enjoying everything that went on around this match.
Yeah.
And
this whole event.
I wrote the bullet points for this, and the bullet points are that drinking game, though, power outage, and fandom and shenanigans. Yeah. And I have the drinking game pulled up.
Yeah, I will say, the power outage, like, that sucked, but that's also, like, if that's your biggest problem and it's resolved in a couple minutes, you can still call this, like, as much of a technical success as you can running a broadcast from what's effectively a remote location.
Yeah, I wish I had bookmarked this, and I don't think I did. there was a story going around as to what was happening during the power outage on stage. I don't know if you saw this, because the backup power was hooked to the player's computer, so the match could have started, but
They couldn't broadcast.
No, and also the controlling computer was blacked out.
Yeah.
So the host of the game became Soon. So it's like, all right, well, Soon is hosting the game right now. That's cool. That's fine. And all he would have had to do once the controlling computer was booted back up was transfer it back. Well, Soon, being Soon, recently started playing on the Chinese language client because Soon does what Soon wants, I assume.
Yeah.
I assume. And he could not read the characters to transfer the game, like to transfer ownership. He could not find it.
Soon.
Because Chinese is a very difficult language to learn.
And he's French.
Which
Not
is
his first, second, third, or fourth language, as far as I know.
Which French is not nearly as difficult to learn. English is harder to learn than French because English is a chaos mishmash of whatever it wants to be. So to solve the problem, he just turned the game off. And it transferred it to his next teammate over, who was using the English language client and was able to transfer the game back to where it needed to be. But just, I love that problem solving. Like, I literally cannot read this. Fuck it.
That's awesome. The thing that makes me laugh about that, too, is, like, my favorite joke from the power outage was someone made this post about how, like, they found Eamon backstage trying to jumpstart, like, a wrecking ball mech.
Yes.
And that's why the power went out.
And the power outage, it wasn't just the arena.
It went out a couple blocks around them.
Yeah. So it wasn't them. It was just a thing that happened.
Yeah.
And if you live in large cities, sometimes shit just occurs.
Mm-hmm.
But that just made me laugh really hard. Like, oh no, of all things, really? So I have the drinking game pulled up because I love it, and I'm biased because it was posted on .esports and written by Liz Richardson, who goes by Ms. Liz on Twitter, who is currently my favorite esports writer because she's goddamn amazing. She's an incredibly intelligent human being and knows what she's talking about. And evidently her mom is starting to get into Overwatch League.
That's
watching
awesome.
her watch it.
That's
and her
awesome.
commentary recounting what her mom says. I guess her mom is really fond of Bumper and asks about him when he's playing.
How can you not be fond of Bumper?
Yeah. So it's just, she's absolutely, follow her. She's wonderful. So the drinking game is Take a Drink Win. The Battle for Texas, otherwise known as any match between the Outlaws and the Fuel, is mentioned. Someone uses a questionable Texas or Southern accent. Take a bonus drink if it's someone who already has a noticeable non-American accent, such as Mitch Uber shouts Leslie. Someone wears a cowboy hat. Take a bonus drink if they try to put a full gaming headset over it. And I think I cannot remember who it was, but one of the casters did that in the airport on the plane and took photos. A caster or interviewer makes an everything is bigger in Texas joke. HEB, the Texas grocery store that sponsors the Houston Outlaws, or Jack in the Box, the restaurant that sponsors the Dallas Fuel, gets a shout out on air. Take a bonus drink if the Texas locals cheer loudly after the shout out. Bud Light is given a shout out beyond the name of the games. A caster makes a barbecue reference. The camera pans to a Houston Outlaws or Dallas Fuel fan in every piece of merch they own. At that point, you're just getting plastered because the camera pans are incredible. Alternatively, the camera pans to a fan of another team present who's surrounded by Outlaws or Fuel fans. We see you guys, we see you. Watchpoint host Chris Puckett begins the broadcast with, "Howdy." Take a bonus drink if he at any point says, "Yeehaw."
Because it would be him.
It would be Puckett. Take another bonus drink if the entire desk refuses to reply back. Sideshow or Bren eat something Texas related for the Watchpoint pre-show instead of doing game analysis. If any of the players or anyone on the talent team chooses to wear cowboy boots. Someone plays Torb or Symmetra seriously during a match, which I believe we got. Mm-hmm. Finish your drink if any former Dallas Fuel players to show up to celebrate the occasion, such as Siegel. The Houston Outlaws managed to beat the Dallas Fuel in the battle for Texas. Any players from traditional sports in the Dallas or Houston area are recruited to drum up excitement for the game and actually show up. A caster, analyst, host, or coach actually manages to drink a Bud Light on air. Good luck when you're on Disney, I guess. Someone includes an actual horse in any of the weekend's features. And the one that got me, you're a Los Angeles Valiant fan. Listen, it's been a tough season, and this weekend might not get any better with matches against the Fuel and Soul Dynasty. You deserve a drink.
So you'll wake up just in time for Season 3 if you played that this weekend.
Yeah, kind of. Holy cow.
That's brutal.
Personally, I started off with finishing my drink.
Yeah.
Because, I feel seen and loved and also called out right now.
Yep.
Thanks?
Now you know what it was like to be me last season.
Yes. Yes, I do. Except not nearly as bad. Last season's fandom was not nearly as vitriolic as this season's fandom.
You were not following the Fuel community closely enough.
This is also true. I apologize for my assumptions.
Yeah, the Fuel fandom can definitely, when things go well, everyone's sucking each other's dicks. When it's not,
Boy, thanks for that.
When it's not going well, everyone in the community is like reaching for the torches and pitchforks and like building gallows. Like,
again, I think this is a sign of a young, not necessarily a young fandom, but a young sport. And people who are young sports fans. Not in that they themselves are young, though that can be the case, but also in that they may never have been fans of a professional sport before.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this at length,
we have
probably
gone
2
on
months
about this.
back. But yeah, if you've been a sports fan for a while, you are probably accustomed to cheering for a team that has had a bad season or two, and you know how to weather it. If you haven't, picking a team that's not doing well can be really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that a lot of Overwatch League fandom isn't quite as experienced in. So you see people who get really upset that their team's not playing well. And then you see people who are like, oh, yeah, no, I bet for me, it's like, I've been a Broncos fan for 2 decades. Like, come on, guys. Yeah. I know how this goes.
I will say, though, overall, like, I just loved everything. The fucking block party atmosphere that was going on this whole time. This looked...
The Orisa cosplayer.
The cosplayers...
2 Reinhardts in different colors.
Yeah.
Like, the cosplay game here was unbelievable.
Also, can I just say, it was really funny seeing the race. Not because Dallas won, but because the Dallas one... You could tell he had so much more range of motion despite his costume being like 20% bigger than than the Houston guy. Like the Reinhardt guy in the Fuel one was like doing poses and shit, and the Fuel one, the Outlaws one, just goes like, eh. Like,
yeah.
That's all he could do.
And I mean, it's hard to build cosplay at all, let alone armor of that size.
Yeah, no, it was just amusing to see.
It also makes me wonder if the person in the Dallas one wasn't taller.
It could very well be.
Because then you wind up with proportions and stilts, and how much of it is just sitting on your shoulders and built up. Like, I've seen people do Transformers costumes.
Yeah.
And if you know where to look, you can kind of tell where the joints are versus where the costume is.
You can spot the stilts.
Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But stature makes a big difference.
Oh,
so I
100% it does.
Yeah, I have to wonder if that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love the cosplayers. I love...
Motherfucker with the saxophone.
The guy with this, I can't believe. I particularly enjoyed the Houston fan who showed up in a paper cow skull.
Yeah.
Like, I liked that.
I was just hoping that at one point it would cut to sax guy doing the da 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 da, the fucking epic sax guy music.
Yes.
Because here's the thing, you would have gotten the entire fucking crowd doing that. It would have been. Have you ever seen that video? There was some like big LAN party thing in Europe. And then someone like has all the computers like slaved, and all of them instantly go over to the video of Gandalf doing the epic sax music, and it just turns into like a fucking rave with everyone partying to that music. Like they're going out into the aisle, like holding the chairs over their heads, just do like fucking going ham.
I have not seen this.
Gandalf, I'll show it to you after the broadcast.
Throw it on our Twitter. Throw it on our Twitter. All right, so that just the atmosphere was a good time.
And again, if this, like, obviously I don't expect everything, like every home thing to hit this level, especially when
I'd
next
imagine
season,
they will.
Well, when next season it becomes a little more of a regular thing.
True, but I look at this and I compare it to football game. And here's one thing. You finish your thought and then I'll go on this tangent.
I think that it's definitely going to be it's going to be amped, especially because a lot of the time you will have a big break between a team playing in their home stadium or whatever. But at the same time, like, it might not be the same way every time, but if it's even half of this, like, it goes such a long way to making Overwatch League feel so much bigger and broader and more big time than it sometimes does being in the Blizzard Arena all the time, which is a 500-600 seat venue. And the thing is, we've had the ability to go and see any game we want any week since
budget and schedule providing.
Budget and schedule providing since season 1. I'm not going to say that it isn't special anymore, but a lot of people have gone there so many times, it's like, I can just kind of pick and choose at this point.
Yeah.
Like, when it's hard to be like 100% rabid for something every single week. And there are even times where, like, the superfan crowd, we both know a bunch of them, there are times where they're not there.
Yeah.
But
because you got to sleep sometime.
yeah, you got to sleep and you have to work sometime. But I feel like having it spread out and, you know, having these different games at different events goes such a long way to keeping a crowd energized and ready to be just in it whenever it happens, because this is a fucking event for you now. And it just makes it feel more special and more big and more legit. And speaking of more legit, you know, the fucking Bud Light sponsorship.
Yes. And this kind of, not this particularly, but this brings me into something I have been talking about for a little bit and that I'd love to see happening. Tailgating. Because we see, and it's one of those Dodge. It's the
they
Dodge
play a fucking
commercial,
ad in the Blizzard Arena about like people tailgating before Overwatch League, and you can't do that shit.
You can't. Well, again, we talk about Blizzard Arena is first come first serve in terms of seating. That's how it's set up. Seats aren't numbered. Again, converted TV studio. You wouldn't have to have numbered seats. You just file people in. So, and you can't bring in outside food or drink. Okay, a lot of arenas are like that. But once you get past the metal detectors, that's it. So you're lining up forever and you can't wander off or do anything. Like, that was probably filmed in the park around the corner. And what
I'll tell you exactly where it was filmed.
Where?
It was filmed in the lot you parked in last season.
Yeah, that's where that little park is. Well, right
I'm saying
there,
it wasn't filmed in the
hospital.
park. I'm saying it was filmed in that specific parking lot.
Yeah. Anyway, they're right next to each other. Anyway, the point being, you can't do that and then just wander in when you're done having food or whatever and go to your seats. There's no parking structure is not the right word, but there's no area to really do it unless you do that park right there. And that's what I want to see happen. I want to see, I swear it's Dodge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it Dodge or Toyota?
I think it might be Toyota.
I think it's Toyota. It's Toyota.
It's Toyota.
Because I can totally tell them apart. I would love to see Toyota actually straight up and down sponsor an Overwatch League tailgate.
Oh my God, that would be so cool.
Pick a weekend, pick probably a Saturday, provide the food, do a breakfast tailgate.
Here's what you do.
Sell tickets and have the ticket sales be a reserved section on the floor. Because that's what Section 7 does for Valiant fans. It's never the front row. The front row still goes to the hardest of core in terms of I was here first and I will sit on the cement for several hours. And yes, that has been my life before. But it's still, you've sold tickets, you've had this unique experience for a whole bunch of different fans, and then they can go in and be guaranteed seats in a certain section. Like, I think a tailgate for Blizzard Arena would be brilliant. And then you give people, here's your Overwatch League and Toyota shirt. You give them merch or something to wear, and you co-brand it so that when they show up on camera, not only is it Overwatch League stuff, but it's co-branded with your merchandise. We put on this tailgate, and now it's being shown. Hey, isn't this great? So then going to these specific arenas, like, it's probably not going to happen for the LA one because it's LA Live and you can't tailgate at LA Live.
You know what'd be cool?
But
if you had it for like Team Spirit Days.
Yeah.
And have it like the way that Philly had, you know, a food truck with Philly cheesesteaks during the playoffs last season. Just have a bunch of like city local things, you know?
Yeah. I would love to see, especially since we're making the push from Overwatch League being just an esport to being in more people's faces, broadcasting on ESPN2, broadcasting on ABC itself for some of the larger matches,
and
getting this
Disney
Bud
XD.
Light sponsorship, holy hell. and starting to move into these larger arenas. Tailgating is a huge community activity, especially for football. And so I would absolutely love to see some Overwatch tailgating happening. Doesn't have to have booze. And I know that's a make or break for some people for tailgating, but you want to keep it family friendly. You want people to be able to bring their kids to the sponsored event. Fine. Make everything non-alcoholic. They want to drink, they go somewhere else, like all of the rest of us.
Yep.
But you do food, you do drinks, you do little, it costs you no money to get these shirts made. It costs you like $1, whatever. Give them out to the people that attend. Suddenly they're wearing merch that's branded with your stuff into the arena. Like, this would make money hand over fist. They'd sell out tickets in 5 minutes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Get on it, Toyota. Give us a tailgate.
Just do it. I would be so
Just
down with that.
And now we have a Bud Light sponsored. Maybe Bud Light should sponsor the tailgate.
That would be...
Get on it, Bud Light.
Yeah, someone do it, because if you're going to add... Well, like, one, it would be just a great experience. Two, if you're going to fucking make an ad about it, like, at least make it a thing we can do.
You know what they should do, given their whole dilly-dilly, Bud Night, whatever? Make a Reinhardt suit in the Bud Light colors with the Bud Light branding. You want to lean into that Bud Night advertising campaign that turned into a Game of Thrones advertising campaign at one point? You lean into the Knight character. Maybe do one for Brigitte as well. Pay cosplayers to show up at your tailgate.
I think the
photo ops with Bud Night Reinhardt.
I think the cosplay is the way to do it, because putting it sounded like you're saying put it in game, and that would be so tacky.
Oh God, no. No.
So tacky.
I'm 100% thinking you pay a cosplayer who does these armor builds to make the Reinhardt Bud Knight and show up, and it's photo ops. Like, I would take a photo with that.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't like Bud Light. I don't drink Bud Light. I don't do beer. But it's hysterical.
Yeah, the hammer can be a beer can at the head.
Yeah.
A giant beer can,
Yeah. Like, we're free ideas, Bud Light. Come on. Work with me here. But that Bud Light sponsored tailgate. Bud Light sponsored tailgate, provide the food, provide the drinks, provide your Bud Light or whatever. Have a Reinhardt Bud Night for photo ops. Here's some branded merchandise that you can wear into the Blizzard Arena. Ta-da! Like, this, again, tickets would sell out.
Very, very quickly.
And for the most part, we get along with people who root for other teams, even if they're rooting for the team we're playing against.
Yeah, you're not going to see many fist fights at the Blizzard Arena if people have a beer or two.
Yeah, for the most part, fans in person at the Blizzard Arena are pretty chill. We like each other.
Yeah, pretty much. And, like, the amount of times where you'll just sit next to a complete stranger, end up striking up a conversation with them, and root for their team when, yours isn't playing and all that. That happens, like, literally every time I go.
Oh, yeah. I was there on Easter, and it was, all right, well, most of this cheering section is taken over by Outlaws fans, and we don't play for a while. Let's cheer for Vancouver. Does anyone know the Vancouver cheer? Nobody? All right, let's make one up. Which we did. It didn't work, but we tried. So it's that sort of thing. It's like, well, unless you are specifically rooting for the team that's on the other side of the arena, you're probably going to cheer for the team that's on the side that you're sitting on. Because you're here and you're having fun and your team's not playing yet. Yeah. So let's offer some support.
Hell yeah. Speaking of support, we have a roster change.
We do.
Which is that Spitfire picks up Quartermain.
I have never heard of this player.
I haven't heard that name in a long time. A long time.
It is the language of Mordor. There are few who can read it. Yeah.
Wrong trilogy.
I am quoting the parody of Fellowship that I know far better than I know the actual
I am quoting
movie.
Star Wars.
Great.
Obi-fucking-Wan.
I didn't pick up on that at all, obviously. I went for Gandalf. And then I went for the parody version of Gandalf. If you can find the soundtrack for Fellowship, the musical parody of Fellowship of the Rings, by God, listen to it. It's amazing.
Also, just listen to the soundtrack to Fellowship. It's amazing.
Yeah. Two completely different directions, though.
True. Howard Shore's a god. Anyway, Quartermain, support player. The most recent teams he played for are Kongju Unsia and Samsung Morning Stars Black. But the thing is, neither of those teams has really been a thing for a while.
That would be why I haven't heard of them
The
either.
last team, the last time he played professionally, I want to say in like July or August of last year. And so it's interesting to me to see him being picked up now after a sizable break like that. But
So was Bacon Jack.
Yeah, exactly. That was my point. Bacon Jack and like we saw leave in the World Cup.
And even DeFran came back to competitive
DeFran had
specific
still
reasons. Yeah.
DeFran's still been like an active community figure, but
Oh, okay.
Quartermain looked very good. He's a main support player, provided his role hasn't changed in the while he was in the hyperbolic time chamber. But yeah, it'll be a nice addition, and I'm interested to see what their plan on integrating him is, because Nuss has always been pretty solid, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's a name that I didn't expect to see. He looked good when I saw him, but that was a while ago, so who knows how this will go.
But London picked him up, so we'll see how this happens.
He's also just got a great name. I love Quartermain.
Yes. See, my brain goes to Quartermaster, and that's Camp, and that's something completely different.
Yeah, yes. And the other change that we have between team rosters is the Valiant has parted ways with yet another coach. Coach Dong-soo is gone. And with him, that is the last Korean coach on the Valiant support staff.
See, and I worry about that.
Here's the thing. They still have T-Bubbles as their team manager who speaks Korean.
Yeah.
So that's not like necessarily, a game wrecker or anything.
But they're also down 2 coaches at this point. And Packing 10 is doing a good job, but they're still, I would imagine, actively looking for a new head coach.
Yeah.
Or looking to promote Packing 10 and then fill his spot. Either way, you have 2 empty positions now.
Yeah, for sure. And it makes you wonder if they're thinking it might be like sort of a too many cooks situation where like there's different ideas going on there. Like maybe what Dong-soo's doing didn't quite gel what Packing 10 was doing. Maybe just it's speculation, and I can't say with any degree of certainty. But in whatever case, they seem to be paring down.
Yeah.
And it does make you wonder if they might try and shift towards a more Western roster, but I don't expect that, considering how much of a key part of this lineup Fate and Kariv and Izayaki have been this whole time. Though then again, you could have said the same thing about Envy early last season.
I mean, I feel like Valiant has always had a fairly solid mixed roster, and they were one of the more solid mixed roster teams. And again, this is coming out of season 1 as opposed to season 2, where we haven't seen very much solidity in any capacity. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I love them, but they hurt me sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we're going to pull a Florida here. I know there's some worry about that, but I sincerely doubt that that's the case.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to jettison what they have because they know what that roster can achieve.
Oh, yeah. And that roster is solid as hell. And the way people are like, oh, this player's really good. This player's really good. Kariv is also a cornerstone of their image, just in terms of the content they put out, as well as a really solid player. And Izayaki has been getting praise after praise for his support play because he's good.
He is.
Like, they've got a good line. It's just a matter of getting ducks in a row.
Definitely. And I think they wouldn't hurt for an addition or two. Like, there are...
Had that trade gone through, I think we would be looking at a very different team right now.
Oh, for sure.
And I think we also would have been looking at a different record for Boston.
I think so as well. And, like, honestly, the big thing that I think they need more than anything is to maybe add someone who's going to be comfortable on the Brigitte. Because agility struggles with that, and I don't like to advocate, like, okay, this person's not cutting the mustard, you might need to bring someone else in. It's like replace them or something. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying...
this is the point where we Will Smith at Kooky in the Lucio role and go, look, he's a great player, but he's not great doing this.
Yeah, and
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and the thing is, you just need to look at guys like Rascal and Haksal to see the impact and Erster on Atlanta
Erster, my
to
God.
see what an impact having a good Brigitte can make on a game, while what having someone who's less comfortable on the hero can do. Just look at Houston.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the amount of times that Jake gets isolated and killed first, and then the fight snowballs out of hand immediately. Yeah. That might be the one immediate change I think they need to make. Like, Fate's a really good player, and I think that they can get on the same page. And you saw in the game against Seoul that when someone said, like, hey, you got to do this, and he's like, okay, and he, adjusted his play style to sort of match that.
Yeah. Like, I think they can do this, and I don't think they're gonna... Again, this is going to be known as pulling a Florida from here on out, because I don't think we've had any team markedly do this. Just jettison half their roster because, hey, we're going to go full Korean, or hey, we're going to do, like...
At least not in the middle of the season.
Yeah. I mean, we've had teams jettison most of their roster, but you can't really blame the Shanghai Dragons for that. They needed massive changes. Yeah. And theirs wasn't, we're specifically going for all Korean players. Theirs was, we need a hell of a shakeup, so we're just going.
They were going for all Koreans, though. They imported, like, pretty much an entire roster and then one extant player.
They also didn't come out and say it.
Yeah, but they didn't need to.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just something about the way the Mayhem handled it, complete with not listing the people that they were letting go or thanking them for their work in the press release, which is really just like...
They thanked some of the coaches, not the players.
But they didn't name them at all. It was just, bye.
Oh, I know. I brought this up when it first happened, and your jaw hit the fucking floor.
So that, again, I think that's that particular style of, hey, middle of the season, let's just... I think that will be known as pulling a Florida, and I don't think that's the direction Valiant is going.
No, I don't think so either. I think that they have some work to do. I think that... I think they can get there. They just need time to really rebuild that synergy and just find their identity, because the thing is, they're not playing stylistically like they did last season.
Yeah.
Whereas last season, it was a very calculated, cautious approach. Honestly, they were kind of, if you've got the spectrum of just like, on one hand, Vancouver, and on the other, NYXL, they were more on the NYXL side of that spectrum.
Yeah.
And they're playing more towards the middle now.
Yeah. And I do think, and again, as much as I hate to pin anything on any one player coming or going, I think Soon leaving upended that a lot, because he is a very, very solid player, just in general.
Yeah. Though I think KSF is like filling it admirably, even if he
absolutely.
Even if he still hasn't quite hit consistency just yet. But it's
he's still doing well.
Yeah, he is. He definitely, whatever stage fright he was having at the start of things, like in his few games last season, his like 1 or 2 was it? But
yeah,
he's gotten some improvement.
And again, again, don't want to do the one-stop shop fix thing, but I do think having Custa back also helps. Someone who is accustomed to this lineup, someone who understands the meta, someone who is used to shot calling with this lineup, with these people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that Kuki was accustomed to that role, and I think that hamstrung the team. And I say that as someone who plays support so often and is so used to kind of just like being on the edges and not being smack in the middle of things being ridiculous, that when I get thrown onto a tank or DPS role, I still kind of default to playing support, and that's not how you do this.
Yeah.
And it causes problems. So I wonder if ingrained habits aren't part of the issue when you have people switching roles, as so many people have had to do in Goats Comp.
Well, part of it is those ingrained tendencies, and part of it is just different roles in Overwatch have very different purposes.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people think like tank is just absorb damage.
No.
When that is not the case. What a tank's job is to do is create space. It's to basically pressure the team or bait them in a direction, do something that will create the room for your DPS players to act, your supports to be able to move around. Like, for a lot of DPS players, when your goal goes from, okay, get kills to worrying about these other things as well, there are more than just, like, mechanical things you have to worry about. Although, like, with Lucio, going from, like, main tank to Lucio, you definitely still have to learn a whole new set of mechanics and polish them up to the highest standard possible, which Kuki didn't really hit that level of excellence. He was kind of middle of the road at best on the Lucio. But
Well, it's, again, we're talking about, had he been forced to learn a new tank, it probably would have been a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because it's not like all tanks play the same, but there are similar purposes and similar ideas behind the creation of a tank. And for a support, it's different purposes, it's different ideas, and then you learn a new character on top of that. So if you're already used to playing support and have that mindset of make sure that people don't die and fix the issue if they do, going from that to, all right, your job is to, you have a different job, you play differently. And that's just, it's making things even more difficult.
Yeah. Again, there's not much more we can say about this other than just we'll see where it goes.
Valiant is just the we'll see team this stage.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that because it beats being the 0-9 team.
Yeah.
I'll stick with it. I'll go.
Could very well be a different team in green this stage.
We run with it. We do our best.
Yeah.
We do our best. And we stick with our teams and we support them regardless of how they're doing because that's what you do. Because they're your teams. I have adopted 5 of them. And they are all my good boys.
Speaking of 5, you can't queue into Grandmaster with 5 people anymore.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Not that I play at a Grandmaster level in any capacity.
Changes to comp. If you have
that hit today
with the new season.
Season 16.
People who are Grandmaster, that is SR 4,000 or higher. So about like 700 higher than me. Fuck.
So that what level is this? Because there's top 500. And
that is Grandmaster.
Okay.
So basically, bronze is up to about 1,500. Silver is 15 to 2,000. Gold is 2,000 to 2,500. 2,500 to 3,000 is silver. 30 to 3,500 is diamond. 3,500 to 4,000 is masters. And then upwards of that is grandmasters until you've hit whatever the top 5 highest rated people in a region are. And then that's your line of demarcation for top 500.
Okay. I would be bronze if I could ever finish my placements. Part of it's terrible hardware and part of it's just me. And part of it is getting abused whenever I try. So, fuck that. I'll just keep playing Storm Rising.
Yeah. Grandmaster players can no longer queue into teams. They can't do like 5 or 6 stacks. They can have one other person in their group max, which is kind of cool as a change, and a lot of people are happy about it.
I wonder if this isn't partially because, you watch a lot of pro streamers and you see, warning, will take a long time to find a fair match. And that's because it's hard if you've got people, here's a group of 3, here's a group of 5, here's a group of 4, and the computer trying to match them all up in comparable SRs, trying to,
the thing is,
it's easier if the biggest group is 2.
Yeah, and, well, it's also just a matter of, like, the fact that you have a significantly smaller pool at that level than you do at pretty much anywhere
in bronze.
else. Yeah. Well, honestly, like, there's kind of a bell curve where, like, high gold to low plat is kind of like the place where most people fall. Like, I think those
most
are kind
people
of...
who play comp.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's, like, kind of where the largest percentage of the population is. And then, it kind of drops down on either end of that.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so I think preventing like oddly sized groups will help cut down on that time because it's easier to fit in 1 or 2 people than it is to be like, okay, well there's a 4 stack and we can either go with 2 1s or...
And then you look at the people on the other side and here's a 3 stack and well, what are our options?
Yeah, and you have to make it relatively balanced.
And assume that no one drops in the middle of something, and assume that no one, like, oh, we're going to place this person here next, they stop playing. Just stuff like that. It just...
And the other thing is, because there are so few people at that level, sometimes you'll have people significantly lower and, you'll occasionally see the freak outlier where someone in, like, Diamond ends up in a game with a top 500, which is just...
And you just kind of sit there and go, oh, buddy, good luck.
Yeah,
and everyone on that team is going to be mad.
Oh, yeah.
Which is not fair to anyone.
Yeah, it's
hard.
Yeah.
I have friends that I can't play with because they're high comp, and if we try to go into quick play, we queue at their level instead of my level, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to be the ball and chain today. Sorry about that.
But my point is that sometimes to fill in, you'll end up having to grab people from a lower SR to complete the lobby. And also, say 3 top 500 people stacked together, that kind of kills the fucking curve pretty bad.
Yeah.
You won't have any of those times where it's like, oh, there's a 4 stack of Overwatch League players, I'm just going to go jump off the nearest bridge.
Yeah. But I've seen a lot of Overwatch League players play under different accounts, so it's like, I have no idea who any of these people are, and I'm sure I'd recognize them if I heard the name of their primary, but who the fuck is that?
I can track a good number of them at this point, but I still definitely, like...
I'm used to watching Custa, and Custa just plays on Custa.
Yeah.
So it's like,
OG has a bunch. OG has a ton of them. Surefour has a few. He's got...
Tasumi.
Yeah, Tasumi. Yes, Daskafrez. That's one of his alts.
Oh my god. Yeah. And I feel like if you're a pro, you probably have at least one alt account.
Oh, yeah.
For the most part.
Most people have a few of them.
But I also appreciate that it'll cut down on time. Like, I was watching Sleepy stream, and he would queue up for a match, and it would take 1,000 years, and he'd pull up another game and start doing levels in the other game while they're waiting for the Overwatch match.
That's pretty common.
Yeah.
That's pretty common.
And I would love to see the time on that cut down, because... that sucks.
Yeah,
when you're waiting for 10, 15 minutes.
5 or 6 minute queue times are brutal.
Yeah.
But I think this will go a long way to fixing that. And we also have another fun thing to go over today, which is a Redditor by the name of Shalot 1988. Has put together a post with some additions from a few other Redditors about
the names that the Chinese fandom calls some of the pro Overwatch players, with the note that calling someone bro denotes respect, calling them big bro calls even more respect, and then calling them dad is just the broest of bro.
Yeah.
So the example they used is Agility's being called a bro. Doesn't look like much, but it actually means he got the most respect out of all of the players whose names begin with A.
Yeah.
Which means a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of A players.
Yeah, and some of these names are incredible, and like we're not going to go through them all just because we'd be here forever.
No.
But the things that you have to see, you'll have to look this up on Reddit.
I appreciate DeFran being manager because of McDonald's.
Because of McDonald's. I really enjoy the fact that Arhan's nickname is Genji is interesting to play, which is so much longer than his actual name. You have Dia, among other things, is Pentagon Boy, San Diego, and That Man.
Oh, yeah. I love that Gushui is Dad Shui.
Yeah. Evermore and Harblue both get called Hog Emperor.
Fissure is Brother Snow, because sure sounds like Chinese word for snow.
Yeah, and Shu gets called, like, Brother Tree.
Okay, but Jake being Captain America is far and away my favorite.
No, my favorite
because
Raucus
it's so funny.
Raucus is the best. Brother Ass.
Because of his ass.
Yeah, because that boy's thicker than a bowl of oatmeal.
And people wonder why we're Outlaws fans. Again, a lot of personalities, a lot of fun.
A lot of butt.
Yeah. Undead being chief of the well because he rolled into the Ilios well as McCree.
Yeah.
Just like, oh baby, no.
Late Young is Piss King.
Libero being Pineapple Lee.
Yeah, Pineapple Lee it sounds like a gangster from fucking Sleeping Dogs.
But it's evidently because Boro means pineapple, so Libero,
Yeah.
and then Linkster is Mr. Lin.
I love that Jinmu is dog channel owner.
Yeah, because evidently he once said to all of his fans in his Discord that they were dog fans. Like,
Yeah.
well, you'd be a dog channel owner. So.
Fraggy is OG Reinhardt. Which
Jonak is Big Brother and Octopus Kid.
I will say OG Reinhardt sounds like a weed strain.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
And of course, Geggery is Sister Frog.
Yes.
And just, she's wonderful and I love her.
She is
But
pure.
yeah, send me this link and I will throw it in the description.
I already did send you this link earlier
Send
today.
it to me again because you know how my memory is.
Fair.
But yeah, definitely just these are cute. I would love to see all of them, but I know there's probably an extensive list and these are probably the funniest.
I want All-Star Games people to have these names on their jerseys.
Oh my god, yes. You'd never get away with it for Raucous. Not if you're
No.
streaming on Disney.
But just call it Brother Butt.
You still would not get away with this on
You'd
Disney.
get away with Butt.
You wouldn't. And also, I want to settle something. Yang Xiaolong absolutely
Yeah.
named himself after the Ruby character.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Because he got on Twitter and he was like, let's talk Ruby. And I'm
If you
like, I knew it.
If you fancy Ruby, you're my friend.
I
Because,
fucking knew it. Let's talk, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Probably through a translator because I do not speak Chinese.
Yeah.
But let's talk. Name yourself after the best Ruby character. Yeah, let's have a conversation.
Hell yeah. I'm still laughing at Brother Ass.
I still love Captain America, though.
Brother Ass sounds...
Especially after Endgame.
Brother Ass sounds like the fucking worst supervillain. Instead of Brother Blood from Teen Titans, Brother Ass.
Brother Ass.
Yeah.
What? All the other body parts were taken.
Brother Ass is the dude at the fucking Magic the Gathering tournament who just knelt down into the little pray pose next to people's butt cracks. That guy is now Brother Ass.
That is Brother Ass. Oh, boy. Speaking of, who posted it? I want to say it was either the Spark or the Hunters. I think it was the Spark. Posted no spoilers, but did a no spoilers endgame post with images from the Dallas homestand. And I laughed until I cried.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because it's, again, you're not going to get it unless you've seen Endgame. And we're not going to say anything. It's a post you'll have to find yourself.
Yes.
Or that I'll dig up the link and throw that in the description as well. I should be making a list of this. But, oh my god, there's this picture of Raucous. I just laughed. But yeah, if you've seen Endgame, look up that post. No spoiler posts like that are my favorite.
Yeah.
There was a long one going around for Black Panther that was all GIFs. It was like, no spoiler GIFs. If you've seen it, this is funny as hell. If you haven't seen it, none of this makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and shit like that's just gold. You have to be clever.
Yeah.
You have to be inventive with it.
Yeah, I love it.
Shall we get into our predictions?
Yes,
Start wrapping
let's
this up.
do it. Let's wrap this.
All right. Thursday, Dallas Fuel versus Florida Mayhem.
Dallas.
Dallas. Then Philadelphia Fusion versus San Francisco Shock.
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Guangzhou Charge versus Houston Outlaws.
Outlaws.
Guangzhou.
This is gonna be one of those ones where we're gonna have another 9-hour Overwatch game.
Boston Uprising versus Gladiators. First game on Friday. Gladiators. Then we have Defiant versus Vancouver.
Vancouver.
And then we have Shanghai versus Washington.
I'm still going to go with Shanghai, but I'm interested to see how Washington has improved with back-to-back bye weeks.
Yeah.
Because they had a bye week and then they weren't in home. They had a bye week not this past weekend, but...
I don't think they did.
Did they?
No, they played your team, didn't they?
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah, there
didn't
we
have
go.
a bye
Oh,
week.
okay.
What are you on about?
I was thinking of at one point one of the players was in a suitcase and they made a joke about packing up for the bye week, and for some reason it just didn't click that it was the homestand that was the bye week.
It was Ark in a suitcase.
It was beautiful. He's so cute.
Yeah, I am also going with Shanghai.
But I will be interested to see how Washington has used this week to improve and to integrate Sleepy.
Agreed.
And go with, I assume, English shot calling now. Now that Corey's not going to be just kind of out to dry.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the best performance we have all stage, provided Dragons doesn't just shut them down to the point where they start to collapse under it.
Yeah, because Dragons is not just a straight up and down goats team. Dragon is also a I do what I want.
They are better Chengdu.
We'll see how this goes. So I'm still betting Dragons, but I do think Washington is going to pull out a performance.
I think so too. Then we have Saturday's games. London Spitfire versus Houston Outlaws.
Depending on which London shows up, still probably London.
I think any London wins in this case.
Again, we'll have to see how the Outlaws do. Because they pulled it out against Dallas. They didn't win, but they played much better. And I'd like to see if they can learn from that and bring that into this weekend.
And I think that they can definitely take some stuff away from that game because, again, when they worked in the DPS compositions in like appropriate places, it did work for them. It looked good.
So I still think London will take it, but I'd love to see Outlaws. I'd love to see a map 5.
Atlanta Reign versus NYXL, the rematch.
Oh shit, on NYXL.
Yeah, don't call it a comeback.
It's gonna be one of those things where NYXL just looks over that footage and memorizes what Reign can do, and then just moves in and destroys them. Unless the lucky Dogman bowl cut shows up.
I mean, the bowl cut is powerful.
We'll see.
The bowl cut is powerful. Up next, Seoul Dynasty versus Vancouver Titans. Titans fighting. Chengdu Hunters versus Valiant to close it out.
Wear your yellow to the arena, regardless.
Oh yeah, I'm going Chengdu.
Yeah, probably Chengdu. Let's be real. Oof.
Up next, Toronto Defiant versus Paris Eternal.
That.
This is another one that can kind of go either way because both of them
really could.
Yeah.
They've both played well, but they've also both had issues. You never know. I'm going to go Paris.
I was also going to go Paris.
Yeah, we'll see.
Up next, Washington Justice versus Boston Uprising.
Boston. Again, even if Washington is playing better, Boston has been terrifying in most of their matches this stage.
Yeah. And I think with RCK, they've really got a new level of compositional flexibility that makes them all that much more difficult to beat.
Oh, yeah.
Next, Shanghai Dragons versus San Francisco Shock.
Hashtag winnable.
Going Shock.
They take this one and the previous game, and they've got... I mean, they're probably going to take Philly, let's be real.
Yeah.
But they take Shanghai and Philly. They've got their 7-0 stage.
Yeah,
I firmly believe they can.
I think Shanghai's going to be closer than Philly, but I definitely think that Shock is the favorite team going into here. And then finally, Seoul Dynasty versus the Hangzhou Spark. I paused.
Stroking the beard like, wow, that was...
beard.
Let's ponder that one.
I'm going to go Seoul. I'm feeling it.
You are usually better at this when we divide than I am, but pink team.
Don't get me wrong. I would like to see Hangzhou get that win. I will say it's interesting that Marvel has become pretty much the de facto starter over Fisher, pretty consistently.
Yeah. Marvel's been doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah. He's been doing well, and I think he said that Fisher helps him learn a lot, but I think that more careful style really does kind of benefit Seoul.
Yeah.
I think it just kind of works a little better with the team that they've got right now.
And that's interesting because Fisher left Gladiators because he wanted to be on a Korean team. Mm-hmm. And then his team is doing better with their other tank.
Fisher just seems to have that curse of wandering, of just never quite cinches up wherever he's trying to go in the way that I think he was looking for.
But he also brought with him the playing against his previous team, you always win, until the Gladiators flip that table.
Yeah.
So who even knows? Fisher is extremely skilled.
Oh, immensely.
We haven't seen him. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have we seen him play in a while?
It's been Marvel more often than not. We did see him somewhat recently. I couldn't tell you when off the top of my head.
It wasn't this past weekend, was it?
No, it was Marvel that whole time, and I think the week before.
I wonder if Fisher even traveled with them this weekend.
Maybe.
I would imagine you bring the whole team.
Yeah, I think so.
But I don't know. We haven't seen the man for a while.
Yeah.
The who's better than Fisher meme has died.
Well, because the thing is, we have a bunch of tanks that are doing statistically better.
Again, they're also playing more, so your
Yeah.
statistics are going to be a little more. But who's better than Fisher? And at this point, I kind of sit here and go, super. And other people go, Bumper.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Bumper's one of those people who, like, his plays, I will never call him bad, but he's one of those people who his play style works because of how much it's enabled by his team.
Oh, absolutely. If he were on a different team,
Yeah.
he would be getting picked left, right, and
They
center.
are ridiculously on the same page with him and ridiculously ready to carry him through over-aggression.
Have you noticed that other people have started corner shattering now that Bumper has made it so... I hesitate
yeah.
to say, like, Bumper made it popular, but it's like, oh shit, you can do
Well, the
that.
thing is-
and now more people are trying
Well, the
it.
thing is, they kind of stopped it because if you did it once or twice, people start checking their corners.
Oh,
and if
yeah.
you do it consistently, you have what happened to Bumper in the finals when Shock just caught him out and dicked him.
Yeah,
But
because they knew his bag of tricks at that point.
yeah, if it becomes a thing you have to worry about maybe like one time in 20, then...
But when you hit 18 times in 20, you might as well check your corners and prepare. Like,
Yeah.
if you know the monster's in the closet, you start putting spikes in the closet.
Yeah, if it's something that you can... if it's something that gets worked in occasionally, it can be good.
Yeah, but if it's the rule rather than the exception.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'd still say that having Bumper in the league, having the Titans in the league, has changed a lot of the play style of the league every bit as much as the meta change has. Like,
For sure.
People have learned from them because they are, right now, inarguably, the best. Mm-hmm. And it is because they have that synergy. I think part of the issue that Gladiators were having in Stage 1 is that Roar, I want to say, plays a little more like Bumper, and they weren't as prepared for it.
I don't know that I'd say he plays a little more like Bumper, just having seen the two of them play. But definitely he doesn't play like Fisher or iRemix did.
Yeah.
And it took some time to acclimate to that, because definitely there was a lot of times where he and the team were out of step. But now that they fixed that...
You can tell when a tank
Yeah.
and the rest of the team are out of step, and I say that as a Valiant fan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm very excited to see this, because this week will 100% determine who is in playoffs and who is not. Like I said, if Dallas gets the win over Florida, then they are in playoffs. We are very close to a few big-name teams either being in or not. Shanghai has a very realistic chance of getting in there.
I would love to see it.
Philly has a very realistic chance of not being in there.
Wow. But what we're looking at right now, Gladiators are actually ranked top because they've played more matches than everyone else
Yeah.
and are currently 6-0 with a plus 12 map differential. San Francisco Shock 5-0 plus 20, Titans 5-0 plus 16, New York 5-1 plus 15, London 5-1 plus 12, Dallas 4-2 plus 3, Hangzhou 4-2 minus 3, and Seoul 3-2 plus 6. So depending on how, like, some of the, I wish they had the little clinched things next to them like they do on the broadcast.
The ones who are guaranteed are Gladiators, Shock, Titans, New York, and then London.
Yeah, so our top 5, and then our 6, 7, and 8 spots, I would love to see the Spark in the playoffs. I
Yeah.
don't think they will be a last till the end team, but given how they started strong and then petered out hard
Yeah.
which is a contradiction in terms, but nonetheless, during Stage 1, I would love to see them come back and be in the playoffs. Not just
Yeah.
because I want to see more Spark art. I am so grateful to the Spark. For one, giving us a bright-ass pink team. Thank you. And for another, giving us that art and making other teams step up their art game. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's a nice little addition to the social media strategies of a whole bunch of teams.
Yeah, and just seeing how people depict the Titans. I love seeing the Titans depicted as Thanos. I love the continual Attack on Titan jokes. I don't
Yeah.
care how many teams make them. They're funny every time. And Attack on Titan just dropped its first episode of this second half of Season 3 this past weekend. So, this entire weekend was just emotionally devastating. And the Beast Titan looks like the Vancouver Titan. So, get on it, guys. Let's see that Photoshop.
Yeah, I don't watch Attack on Titan.
I do. I do. And the more Beast Titan stuff happens, the more that I will be yelling about someone Photoshop the Vancouver Titan as the Beast Titan.
No,
just do it.
Just put Bumper on there.
But I mean, the Beast Titan looks like a Yeti.
Yeah, I know.
He do.
I do know this.
So yeah, do the thing. We have our top 5 clinched. We'll see how our other 3 are. And I'm scrolling down to the standings because I like to hurt myself. And the Valiant are sitting at 15, which, you know what? I'll take it for now. I will absolutely take it, despite the fact that the Outlaws are at 19, and that hurts my very soul. But I will take it, because sitting at 2 and 4 with only a -7 versus last stage's minus, like, what did we have, like a 10 or a 12 or something like ridiculous?
That, yeah.
It wasn't quite the level of the -18 and the -20.
You're guaranteed 2 more wins than you had.
Mm-hmm. Which, well, no, we were only... I hesitate to say that we were guaranteed any wins, but...
I'm saying you are guaranteed to have, at present, 2 more wins than you had last stage.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying
where we are now.
I'm not saying you're guaranteed shit. I'm saying you have 2 wins as opposed to the 0 you had before. But you hypothetically could get another.
Yes.
There you go.
We'll see. No, I was thinking more in terms of coming into stage 2. Like, no, we're not guaranteed anything.
That is, not what I was saying.
I misunderstood. These things do happen. But yeah, no, you know what? I will take this and I will sprint with it. Mm-hmm. Because 2 of my teams are 3, actually. I forgot that I adopted the shock as well. 3 of my teams are sitting in the stage finals, so I might have to root against myself, and boy, that'll be interesting.
At present, all of mine are in.
Who are all your teams? Titans and Fuel?
Titans and Fuel, also New York, because New Yorker.
That's true.
Philly is one of them when they play Fraggy, but they have not, so they're on my shit list.
I love that that's that conditional love.
Yes.
That's hysterical.
Because I am a Fraggy fan. And if you stick my boy on the bench, I'm not happy about that.
Yeah. And I'm in order. Valiant, Gladiators, Outlaws, Shock.
Yeah.
Well, Shock and Spark kind of at the same level.
Yeah.
And I haven't quite adopted Chengdu, but I'm getting there.
I will say, Boston has kind of added itself to the list because they have Fusions and RCK, who are 2 favorites of mine.
Yeah. And it's, let's be real, it's easier to cheer for a team that's doing well. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mostly it's just players that I like.
Yeah.
But I've been a fucking Vancouver fan since before they couldn't, get a tournament win to save their goddamn lives.
I know. Again, that's not a judgment thing. I had a lot of fun sitting in the Titan section and trying to figure out how to cheer for the Titans.
Yeah.
Because there were maybe 3 Titans fans sitting with us, and they were towards the back, and we couldn't see them. But it's fun to cheer for a team when they're doing well. Mm-hmm. It just is.
Yeah.
It's that vicarious win.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it.
Yeah.
I absolutely get it.
And we will see who carries through with that vicarious win to playoffs next week. But for now,
we're looking at the potential for 3 teams with 7-0 seasons, which is nuts.
It's kind of insane.
Being seeded against potentially the Fuel, the Spark, and the Dynasty.
Yep.
Which, again, we expected a straight NYXL run, and Seoul flipped a table on them.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised to see that happen again if we walk in with the
Atlanta flipped the table on them?
Was it? No, during playoffs for stage 1.
Oh, I thought... Why would you bring that up without changing topic when we're talking about the stage 2, 7-0 potential?
I was talking about... Okay. Yeah, I was talking about, for stage 1, everyone expected a straight NYXL run, and then Seoul stopped. That's what I meant.
They were also in the conversation for a straight run here as well, and then Atlanta they found Daco and dusted him off, and then it kind of made stuff happen.
Mr. Excelsior, I don't feel so good. You said dusted. I can't not. Anyway, and with that, this should be interesting, and then we'll walk into next week's episode with our playoffs predictions.
Yep.
We may or may not have the seeds at that point, so...
Yeah, hopefully we do. They took a while to get him out last time.
So we'll see.
Yeah, at the very least we'll be guaranteed who is in there.
Yeah, and we can pick from our top 4 teams here, because holy God, this is going to be great.
Hell yes.
So, yeah. In the meantime, CJ, where can the people find you?
At _rage_nerd on Twitter, and I play main tank for Mercury Cougars and Overwatch Pretenders team, and we're a league for players kind of gold to diamond range. Yeah, we actually just had our first game of the season.
Nice.
Well, not my teams, but the first Pretenders game of the season.
When's your team so we can all go watch it?
It is. We're scheduling it. It's probably going to be sometime this week. I think it might be like next Monday.
Okay. Keep an eye on the Twitter.
Yeah, definitely. We'll post about it.
Right, and I'm Katie. You can follow me all over the social medias as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. And if you're watching this on that YouTube channel, you already know what we're doing there. Mm-hmm. And I am also on a slew of Rooster Teeth podcasts, all under the Rooster Team with an M mantle. So if you go to anchor.fm/the Rooster Team, they're all there. We are talking about Red versus Blue right now because that's what's currently airing. And this season has been unbelievably good. So if you like all things Rooster Teeth, anchor.fm/the Rooster Team, and go check that out. If you like this, if you like us, if you want to follow us more on more places, we are on anchor.fm, so anchor.fm/onthepoint. We are on most of your podcast places, including now Apple Podcasts,
yeah.
Yay. So I believe we've hit the trifecta, Apple, Google, and Spotify. Huzzah. We are also on Twitter at OnThePointPod. We're doing a little better with that one, but life is a little crazy, so also follow that for episodes, updates, occasional live tweeting of matches, etc. That's a good time. You can support this podcast via Anchor. Anchor does do sponsorships. You can also support our sponsor because supporting our sponsor supports us. So head over to fredsbs.com, FREDSBS.com, and use coupon code ONTHEPOINT for 20% off your entire order. I'm not kidding. For your stage finals watch party, get some cookies, get some brownies, get some jam. You will not regret it. They are amazing. They're so good. All right. I think that is all of the things. We have a full weekend to look forward to. And after that, finals and all-stars.
Hell yes.
All right. So, you good?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see 9.
Who runs Texas now?
I'm cutting that.